What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the fourth annual Interns to Pros Internship and New Grad Success Summit. I'm back. We're hyped. I know you guys are all tuning in from all over the country. We are, first of all, excited because a lot of you guys have graduated or gearing up for graduation and have finished the school year. So kudos to you all. And so this session is for you all who have internships coming up this summer or this fall. And the goal is, you know how we do. We just love to serve up as much wisdom as possible so that you all can go out there and maximize those internships. So let's jump right into it. So you all know that we've been blessed to have a lot of great speakers over the course of all of our summits, and this one is no exception. So I have two phenomenal guests with some great experience. So rather than me introduce them, I'll have them introduce themselves, and then we'll jump right into serving up this wisdom. So Essence, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself first.
Awesome. Thanks, Mitchell. And thank you so much for inviting me. Hi, everyone. Congrats on those that are graduating, those that have landed summer internships or are still looking. My name is Essence Dashterry, and I am a director of talent acquisition at Paramount. So you probably have heard of the iconic brand Paramount Pictures. We also own a lot of great networks like CBS News and Sports, BET, Comedy Central, MTV, Nick, you name it. I have been with the company for almost 11 years now. I landed an internship at Paramount when I was in college and have been with the company ever since. I'm really, really just grateful for the opportunity that the company has provided to me. And so I really get to give back. My role specifically focuses on emerging talent. So my team hires all of the interns across the suite of networks under Paramount, and we also hire entry level. So that's just a quick snapshot into my role. And I'll pass it over to Gisela.
Hi. Well, thank you so much, Mitchell, for inviting me as well. And I'm so excited to be here. And again, congratulations to all the students that are graduating and that are also looking for that internship experience. My name is Gisela Salgado. I'm with the California Coalition for Rural Housing. It's a nonprofit organization based out in Sacramento and is composed of various nonprofit organizations that are building affordable housing throughout the state, and particularly rural communities, which I know many folks know that is a great need and a big issue in California, especially. I actually been with the California Coalition for 18 years, and just like Essence, I was recruited through an internship, which was an amazing experience for me and led me to a journey and a career in affordable housing. So I'm happy to talk about, internships because I do lead this regional internship program that seeks to recruit new talent, diverse voices to come to the affordable housing field.
Now, listen, I've known the both of you ladies for a while, and you all have just such a wealth of wisdom. But first of all, you all are just great people, and so thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to do this. So let's get this party started. So, question number one, and feel free, we're just gonna just jump in if you have anything to say. The ultra importance of internships. Now, why are they so vital? And I guess from your experience, both personal experience and then also what you've seen in the people that you've hired. So why are they so important?
I think both of us can attest to how vital internships were, I think, to
Yeah.
both of our careers, right? Because that's how we found sort of like what, at least in my case, that's how I found something that I truly, truly am passionate about. Learning about this particular internship, it just kind of like I found a place where I could really be part of something that was mission driven, and I've always been community minded, and I was also able to marry that with my academic background in business economics. So I was able to utilize that in something that, again, it's mission based, community based, and also internships are just a really great place or great way to find out what you really want to do or don't want to do, because I actually did other internships before I actually interned for a private company. I thought I wanted to be a certified public accountant, So I did that, and I realized that wasn't really for me. I also work for a government agency in Washington, D.C. over the summer, the Department of Treasury. And I realized that that was a great experience, but it still wasn't exactly what I wanted to do until I landed this particular internship. So, internships just give you an opportunity to identify what you really want to do or don't want to do, and also some really tangible, transferable skills that you can apply to anywhere you may go next.
I love that. I think about it, it's like a 10-week interview. It's like a job interview, of course, for the team you're working with to sort of figure out if it's the right fit, but also for you to figure out, just what you're really passionate about. But I agree. I had studied sports communication and HR. I picked up an HR minor, but it really wasn't until I had my various internships that I found my passion in HR and talent acquisition. I had done like editorial internship. I did a news reporting at a local TV station, and then I had my internship at Paramount. And I just loved working with college students, finding out what they were passionate about, helping them sort of like match, like their foundational interests and passions with opportunities that we have at our company. It's also really cool to expose students to roles that they don't know exist at a place
Mm.
like Paramount. We have roles in research and advertising and technology and design. And sometimes people think strictly creative, but we have a ton of corporate and, just business focused areas too.
Oh, so good. And some as someone who did, and we don't. I don't advise this. I did like 7 internships back in the day, and like you, Essence, I was in the sports media realm, and so I did local, I did national, but I also did internships that I didn't think I would want to do just to see if, just to confirm that I was in the right arena. So kudos to the both of you all, and excellent wisdom. Now, doing an internship, mistakes to avoid. What are some of the things? And I guess I can kick it off with you, Essence, for this one. Biggest mistakes to avoid during that 10-week interview.
Yeah, there's a couple things that probably stand out to me. I would say one, like lack of follow through or lack of communication. In this day and age, it's kind of hard because a lot of our internships have shifted from in person, 100% in person, to now more of that hybrid. So you don't have the natural bump in of like your colleagues or being able to pop over to someone's desk to check in or say, hey, I've got some downtime. How can I help out? So as an intern, I would really encourage you to be just like overly communicative. So maybe at the start of the day, just let your manager know what you're working on or reach out via Slack. If you do have downtime to say, hey, things are a little slow right now. Is there anyone I can reach out to or anywhere I can pitch in to help? And then at the end of every day, just sending a status update where you're at with certain tasks and projects. Again, you just want to remind folks that you're there. So I would say just really focusing on communication. And then, truthfully, you probably are going to work on things you love and maybe things that aren't as fun, but just make sure you're putting your best work behind everything that you do. Because at the end of the day, if you do well and that specific department's not the right match, that's okay. People want to help out. They can be like, you know what? Mitchell wasn't like the right match for this ad sales role, but like he was such a go getter. He worked so hard. I'd love to recommend him for a role in marketing or production or finance or whatever that might be. So those are just my 2 cents.
Good stuff. Hisela, any mistakes to avoid, common mistakes that you would suggest to the students out there?
Right. And I think not necessarily about mistakes, but I'm thinking about the things perhaps to do and to avoid doing, right? So I
Good.
think that is really important to come into an internship with a mindset of learning and curiosity. Because just like Essence mentioned, not everything is going to be super exciting every single day, every single moment. But I think it's really a mindset of wanting to learn. And even if it's something that perhaps you're not interested in, to still ask questions. I think asking questions is really important, which comes back to the communication, right? If you're stuck on something or don't know, and to also remember that there are other resources, not only the supervisor or the person that you're assigned to, but you do have a team, you have other colleagues that perhaps you can lean on and seek out to actually build relationships. Relationships are so important in networking. LinkedIn is a really great way to connect with people, but every time that you get an invitation just to like, pick someone's brain or just have like a short I don't know, conversation with someone, I really encourage folks to connect and to express your goals and your dreams, and not necessarily thinking about, I want to work with this person, or I want to get this next opportunity, or I really don't want to be in this position that I want, but I'm lazy. And that's okay, right? But to really come into a mindset of sharing your talents, your passion, your vision, because you never know where that may lead you to, even when you were not seeking or thinking about your next opportunity.
Ah, so good. So good. I know one thing, and our interns, the pros crew out there know we preach: be an intern of impact. Because if you can learn how to be an intern of impact, that'll lead to you being a full-time employee, part-time employee of impact throughout your career. And that's the goal. We want you all to have that mindset, not just once you get a full-time job, not just when you get a fancy title. We want you to come in and be proactively focused on, how can I enrich this organization? How can I enrich the people within this realm that I'm in? And so my next question is just that, I guess. What are some of the things, how can students become an intern of impact? Even if it's just for a 10-week period, what are some little things, big things, or you can, if there's things that you've seen in the past from your fellow interns, how can they become an intern of impact?
Gosh, it's so hard. I would say, I mean, the biggest thing is just really being proactive.
Yeah,
And like Gisela said, just asking a lot of questions, showing curiosity. One thing I tried to do, particularly my team focused on campus relations. So I recall once my boss, they were having trouble with a specific team. It was a tape library department. They're the ones that have tapes of every single show that's been on Paramount's networks. They were having such a hard time with that role. And so as they're talking, I'm Googling like tape library programs, like digital library programs at universities. And I came across a couple. So I'm like, that was a quick way for me to be like, let me take some of this work off their plate. I put together a quick contact sheet of a couple universities and programs, as well as email, like contact information. So just trying to think of ways that I could, just take some of the work off my boss's plate. And I think that's something that people really appreciate.
that's a great snapshot, and that's the mindset. It's like you kind of have
Yeah.
to have your antennas up and just kind of listen and see, and that right there, being proactive and being responsive, enrich that
And
department.
know the value you bring too. Don't come in thinking like, oh, I'm just an intern, like I shouldn't speak up during this meeting, or like maybe I'll ask that question later. It might be a silly question. Like, no, your opinion, your feedback is so valuable, so important, especially at a company like Paramount. You're likely our target demographic. So don't downplay the role and what you can bring to the table.
Now I do want to, and I'm sorry to cut you off there because I know
Oh,
we
yeah.
only time be flying when you're having a good time. Now I do want to, and you mentioned this, a lot of internships are either hybrid or 100% virtual, and that can be challenging. I know I didn't have to go through that when I did all those internships back in the day. Hisela, I guess we'll start with you. How can students, I guess, make the most of a virtual internship? I know that's a tough deal to do, but what are some things that they can do to make the most of that opportunity?
This is a great question because I'm going to also relate it somewhat to the previous question, which is
Mhm.
about taking initiative and also taking the time to reflect on what really works for you in terms of communication with others, especially in a hybrid model, right? And setting, I guess I was going to start talking about managing it up, right? Sometimes as an intern, you think, oh, the person that is overseeing you has all the answers. They are the ones who are setting the tone, and perhaps they are, but also know, just as Essence said, you have an opinion. You also have um, ownership of your own career and how much you are willing to learn and put into the internship, right? And with that mindset, establishing some parameters, I think, is really important. And also methods of communication, right? Like, for example, actually voicing or expressing what really works for me is to communicate with you or have a check in, even if it's brief, every day for 10 minutes and kind of set the tone for that day. What are the priorities? What needs to be done today versus what can wait, right? So, having those checkpoints is really, really important, especially in a virtual world. And also having the mindset of, again, being collaborative and a team player, right? Sometimes there's going to be some tasks that seem very like, like insignificant, like taking notes in a meeting, But taking notes in the meeting can also help retain information and learn also people who are in a meeting, right? Who is who and what role do they play and bring to the table. And that's one way to kind of start learning that. And I think it's important to also give ourselves as an intern patience in knowing that we are not going to know everything the minute that we walk into an internship, and to also be cognizant that it's going to take some time, and to give folks or ourselves grace in knowing that it's going to take some time to learn the things that need to be learned, and to make progress during the internship.
Oh my goodness. I hope y'all taking notes out there. Okay. And don't just take the notes. I need you guys to implement this wisdom. So, my goodness, time is flown. And for the last question, I guess what I want to do, if you have any personal tips and advice, and then also after you answer that, I want them to know about your phenomenal internship programs, because I know personally how rich and how robust and how impactful both of you all's internship programs are. So give a shout out to that. So I guess Essence, let's start with you. So any final tips or words of wisdom, and then let's hear about Paramount Global's phenomenal internship program.
Yeah, no problem. In terms of advice, just soak it all in. Make the most of every experience, especially if you're getting ready to graduate in like the next month or 2 months. Just enjoy the time that you have with your friends and your colleagues, and you're coming up on like this next chapter of your life. I will also say, I know it can be very stressful. It's hard not to compare yourself to your peers that have jobs already or have internships. And I know it sounds cheesy, but it's like everyone's journey is different. So just trust the process. Don't stress out. We're going to be working for many, many years. It's going to happen when it's supposed to, like if you don't have a job May 20th, it's okay. It's truly okay. And I know everyone's situation is different, so there may be reasons why. But again, just try to enjoy the moments that you have. And in terms of our internship program, we do have a fantastic program. It is summer only. We've already wrapped hiring for summer 2023. But if you are planning to be a rising junior or senior next year, you would be eligible for our summer 24 opportunities. Those will be posted in October. So we generally start recruiting in the fall. So think about that sweet spot is like October through January, February is when we're doing most of our phone screens. I'll also plug our Instagram account. We have a great social team that puts up some great content. So it's just Work at Paramount on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. So if you want a sneak peek into all things internship, I would love for you to check that out.
It's very dope, by the way. It's phenomenal.
They've been doing a great job with it.
Thank you so much. Gisela, tell any final words of wisdom, and then please tell us about the phenomenal internship program.
Great, thank you. Yes, so just like Essence, I advise to have fun, make the most out of your internship experience, have fun along the way, and even if it's not the perfect internship, whatever, however you define that, to take the learnings from that experience, because there's always something to be learned. And I've learned so much from the internships that didn't work for me, because at least I realized that that wasn't for me. In terms of our internship program, we offer a year-long internship program through the California Coalition for Rural Housing, and we partner with various nonprofit organizations throughout California, Washington State, Oregon, and Hawaii to place interns in the nonprofit housing development sector. So interns get to learn about what it takes to build affordable housing and serve low-income communities across the areas that I just mentioned. And again, we actually provide training along the way. It is a paid internship full-time during the summer, and then it transitions into part-time work during the academic year. And our ultimate goal is really to retain the students that go through this program, because we are here with the intention of recruiting and retention, especially from communities that are affected by the lack of affordable housing. So diversity is one of our main missions and goals here. And we support the interns throughout the year with training in affordable housing. We bring the interns together 3 to 4 times in Sacramento to build that kind of like network of support and provide, again, training in affordable housing. We also matching with a mentor in the industry. Mentorships actually are really, really important. So that's another piece of advice. Identify a mentor as early as you can in your career and make the most out of that relationship. And in terms of our internship, we recruit every year. We start recruitment in January of every year, and it runs through about May. Right now, we're still seeking to fill positions, locations in California, which include Santa Rosa, Chico, Watsonville, and Visalia. In Oregon, we're seeking to fill a position in Sherwood, and in Washington State in Spokane. And in Hawaii, we're seeking to fill positions in Honolulu and Hanapepe. So those are the positions that are still open. So if there are students out there who are seeking opportunities and want to join the affordable housing field, please find us on online, California Coalition for Rural Housing, and you can just look at the internship program and you'll find all the information there.
Well, too bad I'm not a student because I listen, both of y'all, I'll be applying for both of those bad
I
boys.
know.
But thank you so much, Essence and Sela. You all have been phenomenal. Listen, implement this wisdom, y'all. Stay tuned for the next session. Take care.
My name is Richard Baird. I'm one of the internship program managers here at SMUD, which is the Sacramento Municipal Utility District. So, the first keynote I have, or kind of tip for all of you guys attending the conference here today, is that no one is going to care more about managing your career than you do. So, when you get given your internship opportunity or even your first time job, you are really in the driver's seat. And it's incredibly important that you don't let this fact slip away from you. Organizations are all going to be at different levels of maturity with their existing internship programs. Sometimes you're going to have an incredibly well-developed internship experience, and other times there's going to be some room for you to get the experience you want out of it. So regardless of this, it's super important. You are responsible for what you're going to end up doing as an intern, and you have a lot more agency than you might realize. You need to very quickly build understanding and knowledge. That should be the priority at the beginning of your internship, especially if it's going to be one of those shorter summer interns. The best method or kind of framework that I have for that is to develop a little bit of a matrix. So figure out what it is that you're doing now, what it is that your manager has coming up on your kind of like to-do list, and also who are the people that you're currently working with. And then you create a little bit of a wish list. So at the end of your internship, think about what skills, what knowledge, what abilities do I want to have under my belt when my internship is over. And on that wish list, you're going to want to think about those skills through projects that you've learned about. If you don't know of any projects, this is where networking becomes really important. Go ask different people on your team, in your department, go explore and just learn what other people at the organization are doing. From there, you'll be able to figure out where you can build certain skills that interest you most during the time of your internship. And then the important thing that you need to figure out is, now that you know what you want to do, who do you need to meet and who do you need to know in order to get those things done? So that is usually the best approach that I have found with interns, at least at my organization, SMUD, to really encourage them to take the driver's seat in their own internship and make the most of their internship opportunity. And then for my other keynote, this one is about how things are not always going to work out in your internship. So I am very lucky. I have been given a great gift that I know exactly what I want to do in life. Managing and improving SMUD's internship programs is something that I absolutely love doing as a career. And for some of you here at this conference today, you will also know exactly what you love doing. You might also have a perfect picture of where you're headed in life. And some of you won't. And that is okay. If you don't know, I promise you, you will find out. For those of you who don't know, it's really important that you learn to just try. So I have grown up hearing this saying from my family that in order to do something else, you must first do something. So you need to just start either in your internship, begin learning now. And as you go and try new things, you'll find some things just don't work out. And when that happens, it's really important just try something else. So in your future internship or your first big job, you are going to be making a lot of mistakes. I just want to be very honest with you. You're going to do things incorrectly. And it's really important not to become afraid of failure. Don't let that stop you from trying things or trying a whole new approach that has never been either done before on the team. it can really lead to a great amount of success. And at the risk of sounding a little bit sappy, I definitely believe that all of us are each climbing mountains, and there's going to be a ton of obstacles that are going to be in your way that seem unsurmountable. But I promise you, if you just keep trying and pushing forward, you will overcome them. And when that moment happens, it's going to feel absolutely great. There's also going to be times where you get to the top of that mountain you're climbing only to realize you are at a very low peak in a very vast and large mountain range. It's important to remember not to get discouraged when that happens. All of this is a process. Your internship, your first job, getting through school, and it's not going to be done perfectly. So there's always in life going to be pressure to succeed, to graduate college with incredibly high honors or great grades, to get that amazing first job at Intel, Goldman Sachs, or, SMUD. And it's really important to remember not to get discouraged because you're not at the top of the mountain you want to be at yet. I really do believe and promise you that you will get there. So, if you're considering an internship program this summer or at any point in time, SMUD is one of those organizations that has a very sophisticated and very mature internship program. Every summer, we hire 25 interns. You're in a cohort and you get up to a ton of different events. Some of them are networking events where we have you learn more about not only the people in your department, but across departments. You get an opportunity to interact with recruiters that might be hiring for jobs that you're interested in at SMUD. You also get the opportunity to explore what cybersecurity looks like or electrical engineering. That one is kind of our bread and butter, us being an electrical utility organization. Outside of that, there's events that we put on in partnership with local regional banks like Safe Credit Union or Golden One, where they come and they teach you how your credit score is calculated. What's the best strategy for paying off student loans? Are there any programs in Sacramento that you need to know about when it comes to kind of financing and funding your college education? And then there's also a couple of just for fun events. We go on a day hike every year, as well as doing volunteering events of giving back to the community. You do this in a cohort. SMUD buys lunch. It's a great opportunity just to learn more about all the other interns who are also at the organization. And outside from that, there's a ton of other events, but it's super exciting. It changes roughly every year in terms of what we get up to every summer, and it's built on feedback from people just like you. So the events that we are going to be doing this summer are directly brainstormed from last summer's cohort.
What's going on, everybody? Mitchell Leach II here, founder and president of Interns to Pros. This is session 3. I hope you guys have been taking a lot of notes. A whole lot of wisdom has been served up because we really desperately want you all to be very successful and to thrive and to grow and to be people of impact, the leaders of impact at every touch point, whether you're an intern or a new grad. And so, speaking of new grads, this session, y'all, I don't know if y'all ready for this one. So, wisdom for new grads. Now, we know a lot of you guys are tuning in from across the country, are about to graduate or just graduated. And then we have a lot of you guys who have graduated, back in the fall or even last year, further last year, a couple years ago, who were just wanting to really, really get some more wisdom. So we got a couple of folks on here who have a ton of wisdom. They're part of the Interns to Pros family. It's been a pleasure to see them grow and thrive in their collegiate days and now are thriving in the workplace. And they have some great tips for you guys. And so rather than me just babble and talk about how great they are, because y'all about to find that out, I'm going to have them introduce themselves. So Jordan, introduce yourself and just kind of give a little snapshot of your journey.
Yeah, hi everyone. So happy to be here. My name is Jordan Gooden. I am a sales coordinator currently at TikTok in New York City. Basically what I do there is I support account executives with anything dealing with our clients, which are currently telecommunication clients, so like AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, all of those. I actually just graduated from college. I graduated in December 2022. And so this is my first job post graduation. I went to school at Towson University in Baltimore, Maryland, and I studied advertising and PR. So I'm pretty much in the same industry and I'm really loving it so far. It's such a new experience, but it's been great.
Awesome. Awesome. Peter, tell them about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Peter Velasquez, and I'm currently a strategic planning manager for global account teams inside of Intel's sales and marketing group. I have been at Intel for a little under 2 years now. I started as a summer intern of June of 2021. I graduated from Sacramento State with a degree in business analytics in December of 2021. And I'm currently part of a sales and marketing rotation program within the SMG org, or sales and marketing org, inside of Intel. And so I just started my second rotation as in this position. Previously, I was at Team Red Hat supporting their global sales development and marketing. And then I was also handling Amazon's CPU operations previously to that. So operations, marketing, and now planning experience at Intel.
Phenomenal. Now, listen, I know we still have a lot of juniors and sophomores and even a few freshmen on this call as well on the summit. And just so you know, both of these two were phenomenal interns. They were very proactive. They maximized the opportunity, and they attended, some of our events or whatnot, as well as maximizing Townsend and maximizing Sacramento State. And so they are living testimonies of what being proactive and making the most of opportunities can lead to. So just had to say that before we dig into. So let's get into the first question. So as you all know, we have a lot of folks on here who, like I said, who have graduated or get ready to graduate and haven't landed that first job. What are some wisdom? And Peter, I'll start with you. What are some tips that you have for them in terms of just flashback to that moment when you were in their shoes, and like, what did you do? What underrated things worked? What not to do? I guess. What are some initial tips for those folks in that position?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, there are a couple folks here that are freshmen, sophomore, and juniors. I think to them first is start early. I think start that process early, getting into those internships, get that experience, getting involved with your school clubs and campus organizations to start building your network and seeing those opportunities for jobs. Now, for those that have already done that and they're they're going to graduate either here in a couple months in May or June or in the fall, I think really focusing in on polishing your resume and your interviewing skills. So being willing and able to go access some potential interview questions, reach out to people that work at that company, maybe even in the same positions that you're applying for. Make sure that each resume is unique to the job that you're applying to. So really focus in on how your skills apply to what that job rec is asking for, and highlight your experiences and connect them to what that position is asking for. Also, be very open-minded. I think that sometimes we can get focused in on a career job, dream job, and be like, this is exactly what I want to do. This is what I went to school for. But sometimes it takes a little bit more experience, right, when you get out of school in order for you to land those dream jobs. So be open to applying to other places that you might not have considered previously, just to get your foot in the door and to get some experience. And I think just be patient, right? Be patient and persistent. Continuously, it's a grind, but it's all worth it. So if you put the work in ahead of time, it'll definitely pay off on the back end. But yeah, you just make sure you're willing to put in the work.
Let's go. So good. I hope y'all taking notes. Jordan, what advice do you have for folks in that position?
Yeah, of course. I second all of that. I will also say to Well, first, know how to sell yourself. I feel like, especially early on, you may think you don't have enough experience, or you might have some, but you're like, is this applicable at all? But I feel like just being able to really take what you've learned and show that you know a business or an industry as best as you can at that moment, then that really helps that a company or a job have trust in you. And then from there, I would also say use your connections and your network to the best of your ability. I also was an intern at TikTok before I joined as a full time employee. And getting that internship initially was just me reaching out to a recruiter. So I would just say be willing to put yourself out there to meet people, know as many people as possible. And then on top of that, when I was initially applying to jobs, my first, well, not my first, my close to graduation, I got denied from a lot of jobs, a lot of them. But I will say the ones that came through and the ones I had one on one conversations with were the ones that I interned at and had one on one connections with. So, again, just reaching out to people you know and keeping those connections throughout your 4 years and on.
So good. And I thank you. You both just really, really started strong. And I feel like, man, there's so rich, so many rich elements there. And Jordan, I want to hit on just, nobody likes to be denied, right? But I know one thing, I know for me personally, I applied for over 300 jobs and got like two letters that was like no, right? But I ended up getting my dream job in my dream market, even after all of those no's. And so you do want to have to be patient. You do want to be persistent. You want to be proactive. But remember, it only takes one door, and you will get there. And yes, in this age of hyper comparison, it's okay. Like, and you've heard this throughout the session number one with our internship leaders, be patient and don't feel like you have to be where somebody else is. Your lane, your journey is yours, and you'll get there. Just keep hope alive, y'all. So you all broke through, got that first job, and it's a great, great feeling. And shout out to those who have landed their first jobs who are listening right now. Those first 90 days, those first 3 months are really, in our opinion, in my opinion, very critical. Peter, what are some, I guess, tips of wisdom that you have for how to start strong? What things should they be doing those first 90 days to get off to a great start?
Like you said, it is very important. But I do think I think I'm going to iterate this a lot in this interview. But be patient and really soak in and take in a lot. It's a lot of learning. I know a lot of people will be ambitious and they want to hit the ground running and they want to start getting all this stuff and be proactive. But it does take time to really take in what your job is, how your company operates, what its culture is like. Take the time to fully embrace yourself into that. And be comfortable and try to find what you like and how you can plug into some of these things, especially on the culture side. And just ask a lot of, don't be afraid to ask questions, right? Seek advice, seek feedback. What should I be doing and what does success look like? And start setting goals for yourself that you can try to achieve in those first 90 days in terms of your performance or, your ramp essentially. Mitchell, I think you mentioned it, like being proactive is really important. So not just waiting around to be handed something, being involved, hearing opportunities and reaching out to your management or to your team and asking to take on projects that might not have been passed on to you. I think that shows great character and initiative from a new employee who's willing to learn more, to take on tasks, and is shows some fearlessness and being like, hey, I'm here to work and I'm here to provide some value. That can go a long way. And then also just making sure you're managing your time. Sometimes you'll get a lot of free time at the beginning, do some training, get caught up on this and that, and just focus in on making sure that you're showing up to meetings prepared, you're getting your stuff done, you're getting your trainings all taken care of, you're signing all the forms and all that, and just make sure that you don't take advantage of all that free time, right? Like utilize it to help you prepare for what's to come as you continue to ramp.
So good, Peter. And I think, yeah, the patience, like I said, we preach that as well. And like I said, we've all said it because it's true. Like we want, especially those who are here. There are a lot of students who didn't think they needed any extra wisdom per se, but we know you all are hungry out there. And so, but with that, balance it with patience. And so, Jordan, first 90 days, what tips of wisdom do you have for them?
I feel like it's hard for me to have much wisdom when I just completed my first 90 days. But I would say, I mean, if you go to college, like the freshman year, you're like, okay, first day, you're like, let me take as much notes as possible. Let me try and meet people. Let me pay attention as much as possible. So I kind of think of it in the same way. Be that person that's taking all the notes and listening as much as possible and asking the questions that they feel are dumb but are not. I've learned that there's so much to learn in a company, and I still haven't learned it all. It's only been 90 days, but like, just understand that you won't know it all unless you like get the experience to learn the environment around you and ask the questions that are needed. And then on top of that, I would say to set boundaries for yourself when you're starting off early on. It's kind of, you feel like you gotta, again, be that ambitious person that is putting 1,010% into it. But again, like, this is your everyday job now. So I would say just make sure that, there are other people that will have boundaries. Make sure you have boundaries too. And, just figure out the best way to show up authentically and work how you would like to work, and just be the best team player.
That's good. And this is the art of what we call to have a career of impact, because you have to kind of learn this ongoing ladder of learning yourself and learning wherever you're serving at. You know what I'm saying? And then understanding what season you're in. So you're like, okay, I'm in my first rookie season. This is set some goals for yourself, but be patient, win the sprint, when to fall back. Who do you want in your inner team? What books do you want to read? What ERGs, what employee resource groups you want to be a part of? Who are some mentors that you kind of, who could be identify potential mentors, but then also like, okay, who do I need to be proactive in building relational equity with, which we're going to get to next. Now, you all both did this very well in terms of on your internships, building relationships on your campuses at Towson, at Sac State. You all know it's hard to build relationships, and when people say it as networking, it gets a little, you get a little nervous, but it's vital. So, Peter, what are some of the things that have worked for you, or things that you have seen in terms of how to build relationships in your career?
I think you said it right. It is difficult, and it takes time. It takes nurturing, and it takes you have to be authentic, right? Like, you have to be empathetic of people and really listen, be an active listener, be a contributor. I think, Jordan, you mentioned being a good team player. I think something that's really important and that can get noticed is if you're reliable, being able to communicate effectively and showing up when you say you're going to show up, doing what you say you're going to do. I think that really starts building trust in relationships. And just being able to show appreciation and being positive. So positive reinforcement for the people around you, your coworkers and your teammates, and you're congratulating them when they do well and keeping their head up when, maybe not so well. And so just really just trying to be there for others. And I think that when you have this, it's almost like a serving leadership where you're serving others, and it comes at like no cost. I think it's greatly appreciated to others to be, and then eventually that turns around and them wanting to be around you and wanting to also reciprocate those behaviors. And so really putting in that work and being committed to doing those things, right? And I think, Jordan, you also mentioned respecting boundaries. That's a key part to it as well, and really understanding what those boundaries are for people, and again, being empathetic to those, and how do you help and show up, not only being authentic to yourself, but that comes in a way that also helps them be authentic as well. So it's an active engagement at all times.
Oh my goodness, that's so good. And everybody's different. I mean, like, once you get to this point and you've dealt with so many different people, you all have dealt with fellow students, with professors, with recruiters, and now you have teammates in your respective organizations. Everybody's different. And so just knowing who you are, what works for you, learning them, being active, that's a key word, active, is huge. Now, Jordan, like I said, you've done a phenomenal job as well of building relationships. And you said that really helped in terms of landing at TikTok. What are some other relationship building tips that you have for our crew out there?
Yeah, I would say just always being willing to like introduce yourself, like starting like at the first point where you don't know anybody. My first week at TikTok, I was eating lunch and very awkwardly a girl walked up to me and was like, "Hey, I'm such and such. Like, I've never seen you here." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like, nice to meet you." I was like stuffing my face. It was kind of funny, but um, and ever since we've talked every day, and then from there, I then went and introduced myself randomly to someone else in the company. So I just feel like just putting yourself out there and being willing to set the time aside to have, whether it's quick one-on-one conversations or just like being able to tell someone like, hey, like I admire what you're doing, or hey, I want to learn more about what you're doing. I feel like that's the best way to network. And also, like, don't be afraid to share interests or personal things about you. There's someone on my team that just joined, and we talk about Love is Blind every day. And so I just feel like just being able to find small connections here and there that could also make them feel comfortable around you and put trust in you, and just to know more about you just than like how you do your work. So, yeah.
And of course, you'll identify who you vibe with and who you don't. You know what I'm saying? But also, we talked about being open minded. I've been blessed with so many great friends that at the onset, I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna kick it with that brother. I don't even know. But then we end up clicking, you know what I'm saying, and finding those
Mhm.
connection points, which is really, really cool. So man, time be flying. So y'all out here just making time go super fast, Jordan and Peter. Y'all need to calm that down a little bit. So let's keep it going. So one of the things that you're gonna learn, especially in a corporate environment, you all both are in those, and you may not even have had to deal with it yet, but I'll start off answering this question. um, how to track your impact, how to track your learning, because most companies, most especially Fortune 500 companies, have performance reviews, and some of them are once a year, some of them are every 90 days, some of them are twice a year. But you mentioned earlier, Jordan, knowing how to sell yourself. And that's a key skill at every touch point for every job interview and then for every performance review. Because your ability to track what you've done, know what you've done, for those times where you have to showcase it or tell somebody, those are the different, that will be the difference in what I've seen in over, 2 decades in corporate leadership. Um, and getting promoted or not, and getting those raises and things of that nature. And so you get an opportunity. So, Peter, I guess even if you haven't done it, I guess what are some of the things that you do or you've seen done, or maybe it's something that you actively kind of working towards yourself in terms of how to track your impact for those reviews of some sort.
I've done two so far, and the second one was a lot different than the first one, just because of not knowing, right? So I'm going to give a couple of tips that hopefully that'll help out. So the importance of tracking this, right, is and I think that, as I haven't experienced this yet, but from what I've heard from others, is that you can't assume that, like, if you're doing great work, that everyone's noticing, like that everyone knows what you're doing and everyone's tracking that. And you can't assume that when you get to your review point that next year, or whatever, it's like, hey, they have to give me a raise. I've done all this killer work. I've been doing all this stuff. They have to have known. And then you show up and it's like, hey, good work. Status quo. We'll see you next year, right? And so what's important to track, and why it's important to track, is so that you have this evidence that you can go into these reviews with and show that, like, hey, these are all the things I did over the last year. And not only that, it starts that conversation, right? So it provides you the evidence, but it gives you the opportunity to have the discussion on, hey, where are places that I need to grow? Identifying, if I want to get to this next step, what are the things that I need to demonstrate next year? And then those become your goals for the next year, or for the next review cycle, or whatnot. And then you can put it back in the hands of your manager and say, hey, you know what? We're being transparent here. We're on the same page. This is where I want to get to next year. These are my goals. If I need to adjust or align, or if I'm not meeting these clearly along the way, I need you to tell me. And then you have that communication. And then if you're not on par, or if you're tracking behind or whatnot, then at least so that when you get to that review stage, you're not surprised. You're not like, hey, like what happened here? But it's almost like holding not only yourself but also your management accountable to your career and where your trajectory is going to land. So that's something that I've just recently learned. Just had the review here in April, earlier this month. So I'm like, hey, this is exactly where I want to be, and this is how I want to do this. But it also is very important to be transparent with your manager about these things and what your goals are and where you want to go, and they should put you in a position to succeed. So.
Oh, that is so good, and I want to piggyback off of that because a lot of you guys know I spent my last corporate job. I was at ESPN at the headquarters in Bristol, and we had a lot of performance reviews. I did it at Disney as well, and thankfully, and it doesn't take much. I mean, you can use your notes thing on your phone. I used to have like a little notepad. I keep it at my desk. Every email that I got from a producer or senior executive vice president or something that said, "Hey, great job on that," or "Good job doing this." I saved those bad boys and kept them in a file. Any data that you can have, every project that you're working on, things that you've learned on your own. So you know how Peter mentioned earlier about those first 90 days, and you may have a little bit more free time to proactively learn some things, get certified on some things, take a LinkedIn course so you can add that to your resume on there. Like, track that as well. Not only what you're doing actively for TikTok and for Intel or wherever you're at, but like, yo, over the last year, I upskilled these, I added these skill sets, because they just really want to see. You want to make it hard for them not to promote you, and if they don't, that's on them. But they cannot take what you've proactively done. You know what I'm saying? So now, Jordan, I'm gonna switch to a different question here because, like I said, we got like 5 minutes, and I wish I could talk for another 30, but I know y'all got things to do. In terms of like financial, and this is an interesting question because a lot of I know for me, and like I said, and you guys can give your take on this, the financial stewardship of that first job. And there are certain things they throw at you and they're making you sign this and 401k this. And do you want this stock? And do you want this? So, like, Jordan, what would you say is like the approach in coming into your first job? Or are there some things that you wish you would have done, or things that you did do that has helped you set you up, like to move somewhere or to have money to get a car or for that first place? Like, what are some financial tips you have for the new grads out there?
Yeah, this is funny to me because I relocated, so I moved from Maryland to New York right after graduation, and it was very very challenging. It was a process, but I was waiting for that first paycheck. I was desperately waiting for that first
I
paycheck.
know.
But I would say I had the support of my family, so that helped a lot. I would say use that if you can. If not, then I would just say use whatever resources that you have to help you, figure out the best way to save up and spend your money in your first job. Personally, me, like I've bought concert tickets, planned vacations, but I'm making sure all of it is done in a way that I know like I'm still financially good. But I will say having your first job is very, very exciting. And you feel just a level of stability with that job. So make sure you're just making the best decisions for yourself. And then I think that's all.
That's real. Peter, anything you'd like to add on that one?
Yeah, just start saving for retirement as soon as possible. Compound
Yeah.
interest is a thing. So if your job offers you 401k and they offer you, a match or whatever, always make sure you're matching what they contribute to that. And it's if you can make it work, try to invest as like I said, just as soon as possible. And I know that the first time job, it's typically this pay increase that you get that you've never seen before. You're like, wow, what am I going to do? What do I do with this? And so I think it's important to, enjoy, have your fun, balance your life and those things, but also just keep in mind and have these kind of goals for yourself, right? And I think for me, it was creating a budget really helped me understand where I was putting my money, where I was going, and then identifying like, hey, this is my play money, so I get to go do this and blah blah blah. But also focusing on like long range goals. If you want to own a house someday, or if you want to get married or do these things, right? Buy a car, so it's like setting out that plan, like what do I need to save in order to do that? How do I get there? And because the opportunities when you start getting that income are going to seem like opportunities you never had before. So you're going to want to start just putting these plans in place. And so you can have kind of this approach to it rather than like, hey, maybe one day I'll get there. But like you actually have the opportunity if you set the plan for yourself. And then, and I feel like it's a great feeling when it gets done, right? You work hard for a reason. You get to spend it how you want to, but just make sure you're setting those plans in place and setting yourself up for the future as well.
So rich. And here's the thing. Here's the sad part, y'all. I wish I had y'all wisdom back in the day because I'm still recovering. But we're gonna get to we're gonna go to end this session. We ain't gonna talk about that. So as we close, and Jordan, I'll start with you. If you have any final tips of advice of wisdom that you'd like to add, and then also just to kind of promote TikTok and them as an organization, and whether it's internship opportunities, entry-level opportunities, what you like working there, whatnot. But Jordan, what would you like to close us out with?
I'll say, like, again, like, I'm so big on this, just be authentically yourself, and also to know that you're exactly where you're supposed to be at that moment. And these are just two very big things that will stick with me. So whether you're having a hard time with a job search or you're starting your first job, just know that the right opportunity will come to you. Even if you're working a job you probably don't desire right now, like everything will work out. And so again, like with what Peter said, be patient, and just make sure you're in an environment you feel is right for yourself. So if it's a first job where you're like, I don't know if I really like this, like there's options. And I will say, just again, be authentic, show up the best way you can, and know that everything will work out.
So good.
Oh yeah. I believe TikTok was voted like one of the best places for new hires, new grads to start working. So I would say definitely look into internship opportunities. I believe they might be close to close this for the summer, but definitely like feel free to reach out to me because I experienced it. I have a whole network of people that experienced internship program, that I'd love to just talk about it, share information. It's a great program. It was a conversion program based on your performance. So like that kind of just helped a lot with the job search and finishing school. So yeah, just feel free to reach out with any questions, but TikTok is definitely a great place to work so far.
Good stuff. Peter, final tips and advice, and then intel.
Jordan, I think you just took the words right out of my mouth. Like that was the being authentic, being your true self at work every day. And, I think that when you're in this stage of your life and your career, I think it can be really stressful and you're trying to get things the right way and really trying to focus in on that. And I do agree with you, Jordan, 100% that everything happens for a reason. You're always at the right place at the right time. So continue to believe in that. And just continue to understand and seek and be open to an array of opportunities, right? It just takes one door, as Mitchell mentioned, and it's really what you do with that opportunity that matters. So just make sure you're putting in all the groundwork beforehand to give yourself the best opportunity to get in. And then once you get in, it's basically sky's the limit. So in terms of Intel, I'm currently part of a sales marketing rotation program within the sales and marketing group within Intel. It's it's a great rotation opportunity. It's a career accelerator. It's for recent grads. You get 3 rotations in 2 years, so 3 8-month rotations. That gives you 3 opportunities to experience 3 different roles within the sales and marketing organization. Great experience, great networking, great alum. It's been around for over 25 years. Some of the graduates of the program are now current executives in Intel. So the community and the network that you get from it is invaluable, plus also the experience. And the internship, again, I was also an intern that turned to full-time hire. So highly recommend trying to apply at Intel. And one thing to remember, that just because Intel is a tech company, it doesn't mean that it's not for other folks that don't have technical degrees. So you don't have to be technical to work at Intel. And I think that's something that a lot of folks, especially myself, didn't realize before applying. So we do have a lot of folks that are have diverse backgrounds that don't have tech experience and things like that. So just keep that in mind when you're pursuing jobs and careers in tech as well.
Man, you all really, really killed it. And I'll just end on this note. So, students, recent grads, you all are 100% in control of what you do or what you don't do, of what you've done and how you respond to what's been done to you. So just steward well what you got in your hand. You got a phenomenal opportunity, or if you're still looking, you will have a phenomenal opportunity. Be patient, be proactive, and be out there and be people of impact, like I know you all will. So, Jordan, Peter, thank you so much for blessing us with your time and your wisdom. And I'm looking forward to having you guys back down the line when y'all continuing to ascend. Just don't forget about the little people. Your boy here. Okay. But thank you so much. Much love to you both. What's up? What's up? I'm back. Mitchell Leach II here, founder and president of Interns to Pros. I hope you guys have been enjoying this conference, and it's my turn to show up and hopefully serve up some wisdom. So, welcome to session number 3. This is Internship Momentum: 5 vital steps to be internship ready and accelerate your career success. So, if you didn't know, I've had a ton of experience with internships. So just to rewind the tape, I back at school, back at Western Illinois University, I actually did 7 internships. 7. Now, I don't want you guys to do 7 internships, but to break in the media, the sports media industry back in the day, I was doing 2 internships a summer, plus some stuff during the year. And it ended up allowing me to land my dream job right out of school. I ended up landing another dream job at ESPN years later. So it ended up proving to be the very reason why I was able to break through, but also the reason why I do what I do today, because in my journey, I saw that a lot of my fellow classmates, a lot of students waited too late to get their internships done. And then B, I didn't see a lot of diversity in those internships. And then thirdly, I saw a lot of companies not really maximizing the opportunity. And so I was like, look, whenever I'm done with my sports career, I want to launch something that really, really helps interns find internships, maximize those internships, and really accelerate that career success. So if you have an internship this summer, congratulations. If you have an internship this fall, shout out to you as well. Now, if you don't have an internship, it's all right. But I want you to be focused on landing one whenever you can do one, because it is arguably, outside of graduating, the most important element of your collegiate career. So, what I have to share for you are 5 tips. So, what I'm going to do, we're going to put together a packet and email this to you guys. But I want to go through them right now. Please still take some notes, and please implement what I'm about to share, because it is proven. It worked in my life. It has worked in the many students we've helped across the country. So let's get this party started. So number 1, vital step number 1, gratitude. Now I know you're like, gratitude? Really? Yeah, I'm trying to tell you. Gratitude. So you want to come into your internship grateful for the opportunity. It's an exclusive opportunity. You beat out and possibly hundreds and hundreds of other candidates. And even if you hadn't beat out hundreds and hundreds of candidates, you beat out somebody probably. So they chose you for a reason. You applied, you got the internship. So kudos to you. And you should be grateful for that. And on the flip side, the company should be grateful that they got you as well. So don't get it twisted. But be grateful for the exclusive opportunity of having an internship. Be grateful for the people who opened the door for you. So think about the people who told you about the internship. Think about the people whom you interviewed with, the people who have come alongside of you in this journey, be it a professor, be it a friend, be it somebody who was a former intern, be it somebody else at the company. Think about those people as well. And I just want you guys to always have an attitude of gratitude, not only for your internship, but for your career always, because people sense that. And it does affect your work. It does affect your mood. It does affect how you show up. So always be grateful for the opportunity that you have an internship or have a job because it's going to show through your work. Now, final step number two, I think is really underrated. And we want to call this proactive preparation. Vital step number two, proactive preparation. Now, you all know you've heard it already throughout this event about being proactive, and we keep harping on it because it's vital, y'all. Like the art of being proactive is a massive, massive skill, not only now, but every step of your career journey. I'm talking year one. I'm talking year 5. I'm talking year 20. I'm talking even if you're about to retire. Hey, after retirement, be proactive. So, what do you mean by proactive preparation? So, here's what I mean. So, before you step foot onto wherever you're going to do your internship, you should know a whole lot about the company. You should know its mission, its goals, its initiatives. You should know who the key company leaders are, do a little research on them. You should research key data metrics of the revenue, number of employees, like all of that stuff. You should know if they have any ERGs, which are employee resource groups, and know, okay, do I have any of these ERGs that I want to be a part of for my short internship here, whether it's 8 weeks, 12 weeks, or even longer. You should know kind of what the company jargon is and how they talk. And so these are questions that you can ask your internship leader. These are questions that you can ask people that you know who work there to kind of get a sense of whatever lingo they have. Because, you have industry language, but each company has its own set of language that they use day to day. So you definitely want to kind of pick up on that. And then also how the company operates. And so in your interview process, if you've already landed the internship, still, reach out to your internship leader and say, hey, what are some key processes that I need to kind of be familiar with? I know I'm going to have orientation. I know I'm going to learn all this stuff, the first couple of weeks, but is there anything that I could be learning now or thinking about now before I step foot on my internship? And then also industry trends and news. And so if you're in tech, if you're in media, if you're in retail, if you're in, I don't know, hospitality, study the industry. Like, what is everybody talking about? What are the key challenges? What are the great things to be excited about? Research that stuff because you're going to have conversations with a lot of different people over the course of your internship. You're going to be doing informational interviews with people. You never know who you'll come across. You may even mess around and meet the president of the company, like I've done. And so you want to be able to talk like you really care and know kind of what's going on within the industry, not only so you can look impressive, but so that you can know what you're getting into. You may find out that, you know what? I don't think I want to get into this industry because it's not trending upward. It's trending downward. Or you may be like, yo, like this is really exciting. I'm really excited to have this internship, and now I can kind of get a sense of how I can be a part of this company, really accelerating its growth. And so, knowing kind of what the industry is in and where it's headed will always be a key trait. A key trait. Now, being proactive is, like I said, is very, very key at every touch point in terms of your preparation, but especially for your role as an intern. And so if you can, and we'll talk about this with the next step, but proactively nurturing those relationships will be key as well. Whether it's your hiring manager, again, lean on your internship leaders that you've connected with who hired you. The more you can reach out to them, the better. Now, vital step number 3, intern of impact playbook. Now, you all know that at Interns to Pros, we want you to be not only an intern, period, not only to be successful in whatever you're doing, we want you to be an intern of impact. For the net, whether your internship is 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, longer, however long you're going to be there, we want you to go in there focused on being an intern of impact. And so, how do you want to impact your organization? How do you want to impact its consumers? What are your personal goals? Write down what you want to accomplish over the course of your internship. Create a personal growth plan in terms of what you want to learn, in terms of your acumen, but also what skill sets, what skills do you want to work on? All of the things that you've been learning in the classroom, in both outside on campus and things of that nature. How do you want to start to implement what you've been learning? This is the perfect time to do that. What create an impact project? Even if your company doesn't have some capstone project or intern project, create one. So by week 2, you should be like, okay, I want to create this spreadsheet that has this information that will be helpful for my department. I want to do some type of a research project for this group that will help them in this whatever. Like, then this is why your proactive preparation matters, because you'll start to get a sense of, okay, what are the key needs for my group? What are the key needs for our organization? And find out a small way that can turn out being a big way that you can add value, so that when they think about you, when they see your name on a paper, when they see your name in an email, when people are talking about how you're doing, I want them to say, man, that's a tremendous intern. That's a tremendous person. That is an intern of impact. And we need to keep our eye on him or her, or whatever, so that, they can be a part of our organization once they graduate. And so come in with all of those things in mind so that you can be an intern of impact. And so if you learn how to be an intern of impact, you know what I'm going to say next. I want you to become an employee, a full-time employee of impact. So if you're headed into your first job, kill it that first year. Be impactful. If you're in year 5, go kill it. Be great. Learn, stand out, enrich every room, enrich every person. And you'll learn how to do that as you develop those relationships. So, vital step number 3, become an intern of impact and start to create that playbook before day 1. Now, vital step number 4, relationship foundation building. Relationship foundation building. So, now the acceleration or deceleration of your career hinges on the quality of your relationships. So, as somebody who has worked across the country for several Fortune 500 companies, you will be very surprised how small these networks are. People that I worked with during my internships, I end up working with a decade and a half later, and they remember our time together. They remember conversations. They remember how, whatever I did, and I remember them, and I remember their personality and all of that. Like, so you want to, before day 1, start to really be focused on, how do I create and cultivate and nurture great relationships at every touch point? Not only with your hiring manager, not only with your internship leader, not only with other higher ups within your organization, but I would argue, especially with your fellow interns. I cannot tell you, as somebody who did a gazillion internships, the fact that I was able to have really strong relationships with so many people throughout those 7 internships has really paid a lot of big dividends. I've landed jobs because of my fellow interns. I've been able to help them out, and we have remained close, a lot of us. And now, my cohorts are now senior leaders and vice presidents, and some are presidents and running things, and some are, have ventured in different fields, and we're still connected. And so you just never know where your paths may cross again. And you don't do this so that you can, go up the corporate ladder per se, but you want to do this just as a good human being. You know what I'm saying? And so really start to cultivate relationships with your fellow interns. If you're in, if you met an intern or who got hired, reach out to them. If you can get a list of a few interns from your internship leader that you can reach out and say, hey, my name is Mitchell. I landed this internship. Just wanted to introduce myself. Looking forward to meeting you when we start on, June 2nd or whatever. Like, really be aggressively, proactively sowing seeds of healthy, strong, enriching relationships, so that when you go in, people gonna know you already. If not only fellow interns, but people within the organization. Um, so some of the things that other things that you can do, and I mentioned this earlier. What you also want to do is, if you know who you're going to be working with, your hiring manager, other people that you've met, possibly on your internship, acquisition journey, reach out to them and just say, hey, what's going on? I had the pleasure of meeting you during my internship process. I don't know if you heard, I landed the internship. I'm super excited to be working with you. And I start this day and hope to, do whatever. Like, just, you want to have a, quick, short email. If you want to write a thank you note, a key pro tip here, especially for your hiring manager and your internship leader, handwrite them a thank you note, mail it to them, weeks before you start your internship. And what a first impression you'll have, because every single interaction via email, via text, especially in person, it's building, I guess, a mental relational equity resume that they can go back to. So when your name comes up in conversation, and when your name comes up in the email, and whatever, they're gonna remember all of those little things. They're gonna remember, like, yo, she sent me a beautiful thank you note for hiring her. She reached out and was proactively seeking ways where she can improve, or ways where she can enrich our group. And like, all of that stuff matters. And so that is part of that vital step number 4, in terms of being really strategic with your relational foundation building. And people call it networking and all of that, but it's really relationship building, y'all. Y'all know how to do this. Now, you don't have to know everybody and do everything. You'll have a good sense of who you rock with and who you don't rock with, who you vibe with and who you don't vibe with. But you always want to remember that you are always on stage, that people are always watching. You never know who's watching you. So beware of how you communicate in person. What body language do you give off? Do you give them a smile? When you walk in a room, are you pleasant? Like, the tone of your emails. You want to be you. You want to be authentic, but you also want to be professional. You also want to be authentic to who you are. And so, in everything that you do for the next 8 to 12 weeks, however long your internship is, you are on stage, and every moment matters. Now, we have one last vital step that we want to give you, and that is, before you start your internship, do a social media refresh. Yes, do a social media. You can call it check, you can call it refresh, whatever you want to call it. But check what's on your social media. TikTok, IG, whatever you use, LinkedIn. Make sure it's something like, if your hiring manager saw, heck, if a fellow intern saw, is there something that you would be okay with? I'm not saying you have to be all professional and be wearing suits and stuff and all your IG stuff. No. I ain't do that. But you do want to make sure that if it's something that is shareable, if it's something that can be seen, that it's something that won't get you in trouble. So, as somebody who has worked with tons and tons and tons of interns, we've had, unfortunately, some bad cases of interns losing jobs before they even started the internship because of what they said on social media, because of videos they posted, even retweeting something that was questionable. And you just want to be smart. You want to think before you post. You want to think before you react. Not saying that you have to change who you are. You definitely don't want to do that. But if you want to have that internship, just be wise at every touch point in terms of what you post, what you engage with on social media, because yes, it may disappear for a second, but as somebody who worked in journalism for pretty much 2 decades, we can find it. Like once it's posted, trust me, there are ways to get what you posted. And so I have seen, unfortunately, way too many students, especially athletes, in college and high school, really lose tremendous opportunities and heck, lost a lot of money because of something that they said or did on social media. So just do a social media refresh, make sure everything is all good. If you want to have something private, make that thing private, but make sure it's all good. But then also, LinkedIn is a gold mine, y'all. Like if you're not on LinkedIn, I know it's a professional platform, but let me tell you, we've had tons of students land internships that led to jobs fresh out of school because of the LinkedIn page. And so ideas on what you can do. If you're not on LinkedIn, get yourself a professional picture. Heck, you can take one with your phone right now. Just however you want, whatever picture you want to have up there, and learn the platform, y'all. You ain't got to be on it like you are on the favorite platform, but it should be something that you leverage, especially while you're on your internship. And this is something that you can add within your proactive preparation stage. So set up a LinkedIn page. If you have a page, make sure it's all good. Make sure you have a resume. Make sure you have where you're interning, what you're going to be doing. Find people within the company. This is a great way to start to get to know who's who within your organization. See if there are any alums from your school in that organization, and have a hit list of alums who are working at that organization that you could talk with. And on a side note, informational interviews are huge, 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 huge. So my challenge to you is once a week, at least once a week, you should have an informational interview with somebody within your organization. And it can be as short as 15 minutes. And it's just you saying, hey, my name is Mitchell. We go to the same school. I'm interning in this department, and I would love to learn more about your career journey and just the organization overall, and just soak up as much wisdom as I can. And when you have that 15 minutes, it's probably going to turn into 30 minutes. It may mess around and turn into an hour, but you just ask great questions and you listen, and then make a great impression. Handwrite them a thank you note, and go from there, because that's going to build your network as well. I did that through every internship. I did it throughout my career, and it really grew my network tremendously. I've gotten tremendous opportunities because of that, because people know you and trust me. When your name starts to get around as somebody who is hungry, who learns well, who is excellent at their job, you're gonna be top of mind. And doing all of these things, these 5 vital steps, will get you into that top of mind category with hiring managers, with HR recruiters, not only at your company, but you may mess around and know somebody at your company and they don't have any jobs, but they're like, yo, I know somebody at this other company, they're hiring, you should apply. And they would send an email over there to their person of reference over there. So all of these different things, all of the five vital steps. I hope you take them to heart. I hope you've taken notes. I'm going to send out, like I said, a short packet with these vital steps on it. And if you do this, I know it's going to take extra time. I know you've had a long school year. I know a lot of you guys are in finals week or just finished finals week and you're tired and just want to chill. Take a break. But before your first day, do these steps. Even if you don't do all of them, do like one of them, do two of them, because trust me, it will pay ginormous dividends and really accelerate not only your internship journey, but really can set you apart from the mass competition of those who want the job that you want. So stay tuned, guys. That's it for this session, and more to come. And we're gonna end this thing on a high note. Trust me. See you soon. Everybody, Mitchell Leaf II back in the building. And listen, it's been a phenomenal day. A lot of wisdom has been shared. A lot of notes hopefully have been taken. And you all know how we do. I love to have a great grand finale. And I was like, who could I get this year that would like just, body slam these cats this time? And I'm like, my own brother. So for the grand finale, session number 4, the art of career growth and impact, none other than my own brother, Michael Leach. So what's up, Mike? What's going on?
What's going on, brother? Always great to see you. Great to be with you. Thanks again for having me on. And no, love the work you're doing, how you're leading, and cannot be more proud, man.
Well, thank you so much. Now, so you all know, get your notepads ready, but we keep it laid back. We like to have a good time. So first, rather than me kind of going through and raving about my brother, like y'all know, I love the yap. I'll just have him introduce himself and I guess give kind of a brief snapshot of. I'd actually, no, you know what? Rewind that. Here's what I'm going to do. Rather than doing all that, let's just you all can do your research. I've been telling you guys to be on LinkedIn to know how to research people. Look up Michael Leach. Look at his career from U of I all the way to now, and you'll know why we picked him for this grand finale because he has had an epic career from an intern to a professional. And so the whole art of this session is the art of career growth and impact. So first off, Mike, you were a phenomenal intern. And if you want to shout out some of the places you interned, feel free. Um, you were a phenomenal intern and you're an impactful pro right now. I guess, how would you describe your career journey and why?
Yeah, great question. In short, I guess I would describe it while it's been very much unconventional, it has been very much intentional. And, across the journey, been able to really explore my different passions and pursue unique opportunities at very unique times and taken on a variety of different diverse roles across different industries. But when it's all said and done, was able to certainly gain a broad range of skills and experiences that I think contributed, a great deal to what I'm doing and how I'm doing it now. But definitely unconventional, very intentional, everything from sports and now into the federal government, and could not be more happy and thrilled with the work we're leading right now, one day at a time, one person at a time.
That's right. And listen, one of the things that I've always admired about you, Mike, is your intentionality. And I tried to be intentional with my own career path and interns the pros crew know my journey and a lot of the people and pretty much everybody that we've had on over the last 5 years since we launched has been two things, proactive and intentional. And Mike, you have certainly fit that category. So now one thing I know about you, you have mastered the art of building relationships. Now, what are some tips you have for building relationships really at this early stage in their career? Right now, we have a lot of everywhere from college freshmen to seniors to grad students, even some folks who are early in their career. What are some, I guess, early relationship building tips that you have?
Sure. From the outset, and every person that I've come across throughout the journey have heard me share this quote, this adage. And so I'll share it again now. Everyone communicates, few connect. And so, I certainly share that one of the biggest challenges is just finding people who can have a vested interest in where you are, where you're going, and how you want to get there. And so, to your point, just building relationships, especially in the early stage and beyond, is just vital for several reasons, including gaining new opportunities, learning from others, developing a supportive network, and at a high level, some tips I'd offer up. First and foremost, be authentic. Authenticity is undervalued today, and just being genuine in building those relationships, it just requires authenticity. And so, be yourself, show interest in others, be an active listener, engage in meaningful conversations. Secondarily, be proactive, right? Don't wait for opportunities to come to you. Reach out to people who you admire or who you respect, and ask for advice or mentorship and offer your help and expertise. Attend events. Cannot, I mean, obviously, each and every person that's on this one, you've already checked that box, so kudos to you. But continually attend professional events, conferences, meetups to meet people in that industry that you're interested in and learn about the new trends and opportunities there. Join groups and associations. Industry related groups and associations are really, really good ecosystems for connecting with like minded professionals and to learn new skills. And again, stay up to date. And then stay in touch. When you get in touch with folks, a lot of folks, they get business cards and they think that business card is so powerful and they wait, 3, 4, 5 years down the road to reach out to that contact. But stay in touch. After you meet someone, follow up with them and stay in touch. Send that thank you note, connect with them on LinkedIn, engage with their content, and just keep that relationship alive by checking in from time to time. And then finally, maintain boundaries, right? I think while building relationships is important, right, it's also important to just maintain boundaries and don't overextend and overcommit yourself, and prioritize your own mental health and emotional health as well. Because at the end of the day, it's not about what you know, and it's not about who you know. It's about who knows you. Because at the end of the day, you can know 100 world changers and decision makers, but if not one of those folks know you, know what you're capable of becoming and what you're interested in, it doesn't matter who you know. And that goes again with cultivating authentic relationships. And so continually do that. I have a 4-step process that I employ for building relationships. I can get into that if you want to, but it's a really simple process that I've employed over the years that have been really, really instrumental in some of my most life-changing relationships.
Wow. Well, now listen. Come on now. Now, do you know I'm from the TV background? Like, you can't just give us a tease and then we just go move on to the next question. If you'll be willing to share, that would be awesome to hear that 4-step process.
Yeah, really quick at a high level, right? Again, everyone communicates, few connect. And so when you're in conversation with someone, it's really a deliberate process. Number one, find out what they value. And you can only find out what they value by being a good listener while you're with them. So, number one, find out what they value. Number two, find out why they value those things. You will learn more about a person by the questions you ask more so than the answers they give. And so be very deliberate around the questions you're asking. So, one, find out what they value. Two, find out why they value those things. Third step, share your own values that are similar to their values, right? And then the fourth and final step is you build the relationship on the commonalities that you find, right? And so you've heard theirs, you've heard why they value. It could be anything: music, food, family, whatever it is topically. You just learn those things and you build a relationship, and you will be amazed at how employing that will open up a floodgate of just really deep, meaningful relationships.
Sheesh. Listen, y'all. Listen. Y'all better be taking these notes. This is gold. This is game. This is something that we've discussed earlier. We've discussed over the years, y'all. Really, the acceleration of your career or deceleration of your career really depends on your relationships and how intentional you have been. Have you added value or have you caused? When you walk in the room, are people happy to see you, or is it that like, Mitchell's here? Come on now, like, do you stress people out? Like, that's real. Like, it doesn't matter if you're working your first job, or if you're a VP somewhere now, or if you're in Starbucks, or if you're a diplomat somewhere. Like, we are all in the people business. So I hope you guys take that advice to heart. Now, Mike, we have a ton of interns on this event. Those who are preparing for their internships really over the next month or so, because the summer internship season, you've done tremendous internships and have really maximized those internships. I guess, what advice do you have for students to maximize those internships? And I guess, and any success stories you want to share.
Yeah, sure. From off the top, internships, right, can be incredibly powerful opportunities for students and young professionals, and any professional for that matter, right, just to gain that valuable work experience and, again, build those networks and to learn about different industries and career paths. Some tips I would offer up, again, number one, treat it like it's a real job. Even though it may be a temporary position, treat your internship as if it were a real job. Show up on time, be professional, and take your responsibility seriously. Uh, Secondly, be proactive. You don't want to wait for your supervisor to assign you tasks. Be proactive. Ask for those additional responsibilities or projects. Again, that just shows initiative and a willingness to learn. Number three, learn from everyone. I often share, you should never stop learning because life never stops teaching, right? And so you want to take the opportunity to learn from everyone you work with, from your supervisor, your colleagues, ask questions, seek feedback, and just observe how people are working. Number four, network, right? You want to use your internship, again, as that opportunity to continue expanding your network, connect with people across the organization, attend those events and meetings, ask for informational interviews. That's been critical. I learned that a lot from you, Mitchell, growing up. Take on challenges. Number five, don't be afraid to just take on challenges outside of your comfort zone. That, again, helps you develop new skills and just demonstrates your value to the organization. And then six, finally, and lastly, keep a record of your accomplishments. You want to keep a record of the projects you worked on, the skills you developed, and the accomplishments you achieved during your internship, because that will be very helpful when updating your resume or talking about your experience in future job interviews. One pro tip that I share with not only interns or early professionals, even some of the most senior leaders and influencers that I've worked with, is this: make your STAR portfolio, like the acronym STAR. And it could be as simple as opening up Microsoft Word and just bulleting out the acronym STAR, STAR. And each week you find what was your STAR for that week. S, what was the situation you were tasked with? T, what was the task at hand? A, what was the action you took based on the situation and task at hand? And then R, what was the result from those things? And you just document that week over week, month over month, and over time. Now you have a portfolio and body of work that will give you language to talk in a concise but deliberate manner in interviews. And then also you have something to add to your appendices for a resume or a cover letter. And so get that STAR portfolio in order. You'll be good to go.
It's crazy because it's sort of like, and we didn't really discuss a lot of some of the processes that we've had over the last few years, but you really hit on something that we really harp in on, and that's track your impact. Track it,
That's great.
document. So if it's on your phone, if you're creating a document like Mike just laid out, if it's an old school notepad, I used to keep an old school notepad in front of my desk. Every email that people say, "Hey, great job," save that bad boy. If it's whatever it is, because guess what, you will have performance reviews throughout your career, especially if you had a Fortune 500 company. So track that impact, because that way there you'll be ready. You'll be ready to go. And also one of the side effects of that, you get once you start to build that, you'll be like, wow, I've accomplished a lot, and it give yourself encouragement as you move forward. Now, Mike, also, not only interns on this call, we got a lot of grads who have just graduated, and shout out to those who just graduated, but also those who are going to be graduating over the next few weeks. Now, some have jobs, some don't. Now, for the folks who don't have a job lined up, I guess, what are some wisdom you have in terms of landing that first job? Because I know I remember those days. I know you remember those days, like that first one.
Oh, yeah.
Something else. So what wisdom do you have in regards to landing that first job post graduation?
Yeah, it's a great question, and the first thing I would offer up is just stay encouraged. Right, it can be a challenging process. The cold calls, the outreach, the lack of responsiveness, whatever you want to call it, as barriers or challenges. It is a very real thing, and I would just encourage you to stay the course. You're doing better than you think you are, and to keep moving forward. Practically speaking, right? in terms of just actionable tips that you can follow. Number one, start your job search early. Do it early and do it often. Start looking for opportunities as soon as possible, even before you graduate, if that's your circumstance. It'll just give you ample time to prepare your resume and cover letter and apply to the various openings. Secondarily, you want to tailor your resume and cover letter, right? Customize your resume and cover letter to fit the specific job that you're applying for. So you want to highlight your relevant skills, the experience, right, the education to match the job requirements or the job criteria that's listed in there. You'll be really amazed at all of the different softwares that exist out there now that are looking to pull out buzzwords from a physical resume or a digital resume. So be very, very clear to make sure that those match. Thirdly, network again. Connect. Everyone communicates, few connect. Connect with people through networking events, career fairs, social media platforms. LinkedIn is a big one for that. Your network will be able to provide you valuable advice, referrals, and what opportunities that may not be visible yet publicly. Fourth thing, you want to prepare for interviews. Practice is answering fundamental, basic, common interview questions, especially in the vetting stage that most organizations ask. Those things are really a through line for most HR departments and divisions. And so just get familiarity with those common interview questions based on the job you're applying for. And the fifth thing, be open to different opportunities, right? You may not get or land your dream job right out of college from the outset, but be open, right, to other opportunities that'll still help you gain the experience you need to build your skills, and you should be okay. And the last thing, I'll add this extra tip in there. A lot of folks are really big on just being persistent, and again, while finding a job can be a long and challenging process, don't give up. But I would reorient your thinking around the term persistence, because I often tell leaders, if you're persistent, you may get it, but if you're consistent, you will keep it. And there's a big difference between being persistent and being consistent. You can lose something you obtain after your persistence if you get it and you're not consistent. And so I would offer up, stay consistent, and you'll be okay.
That's timeless wisdom, y'all. And one of the things that we encourage you all to do is you want to be timeless in your principles, but then also be timely in the implementation of those principles. And what Mike's been sharing this whole time is a lot of timeless wisdom implemented in a very timely way. So regardless if you're an intern, regardless if you're 2 years into your professional career, you can just keep doing this stuff and just customize it and update it, just like your skill sets, just like your relationships and everything like that. But keep doing this. This is really, really good stuff. Now, Mike, you have had, and we talked a little bit about your career journey at the onset of this interview. You have found a way to really not only just grow. What I've noticed, you've grown yourself, regardless of what role that you've been in. You focused on growing yourself. So I guess, what are some of the ingredients to have a career of growth? And then just once you're in that career in whatever space and industry that you're in, how to have a career growth of I guess, of upward mobility,
Yeah.
regardless of what space you're in.
Yeah, it's a great question. I always tell folks, you want to grow through what you go through, irrespective of what industry or job you obtain. But a lot of the principles are pretty consistent. And I know you told me you want to keep this as practical as possible. I can be inspirational, but I definitely want to make this as practical too for everyone, so that you have something tangible that you can take and harness and run with it. But number one, you want to set clear goals. I think that's a big thing. You want to identify what are those long-term career goals and aspirations you have, but then break them down into achievable milestones. Right. This will help you stay focused and motivated, and ensure that you're moving in the right direction. I tell every person I meet now, not just leaders, but even early professionals, if you try to do everything, you may not be effective at anything. And so from the outset, you want to set very clear goals. break them into achievable milestones. And over time, as you hit those milestones, revisit the list. Secondly, develop new skills. Again, it is critical to stay up to date with the latest trends and best practices, technologies in the industry you're interested in, and then just generally. But not only staying up to date, you want to invest in developing those new skills. That'll help you stay competitive and open to new opportunities for career growth. Thirdly, again, continue to build that professional network. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? Connect with people, continue to attend those events and conferences and those associations. That'll, again, help you learn about new opportunities and gain the insights into different career paths. And find mentors who can provide that guidance and support to you. You also want to seek out new challenges. Again, don't be afraid to take on those new challenges, even if they're outside of what you would normally go for. You'd be surprised at how that person indirectly, that may not be in your sphere of influence or inner circle, can help you develop and demonstrate your value to other potential employers. And then next thing, communicate with your manager or your direct supervisor that you're supporting. You want to make sure that they're aware of your career goals and aspirations. You want to ask again for feedback and guidance, and you want to be proactive in seeking out the adequate growth opportunities that'll get you where you want to go. Take ownership along the way too, right? A lot of folks, when they get into internships or even into their first job, they try to wait for the employer to really direct them. And no longer are the days of the traditional linear career path. Like, very much so, folks are getting in, they're learning quickly, and they're moving on. And so you want to take ownership of that, again, by seeking out training opportunities and take on opportunities to learn from others within your scope of influence and outside of it. And then lastly, not to be worried, be resilient. Just recognize that there's going to be challenges along the way, but don't give up. Stay positive, learn from the experiences, and just keep pushing. Because upward mobility and career growth, it just requires a proactive approach and a commitment really to developing.
That's huge. And like, if you guys go back, and we're going to be posting this after this has gone live on our YouTube page and on our website. So definitely check that out. We are all about being both interns and pros of impact at every touch point, whether you're intern or a pro. And so if you guys implement Mike's wisdom, you will automatically be a person of impact, an intern of impact, a pro of impact. And if you're impactful, that gets noticed. Like, you never know who's watching. Heck, people are always watching. And so that should be your goal. Now, man, time flies, Mike. We've been having a good time. And man, thank you so much for everything. Now, as we close out, do you have any final pieces of wisdom to share as we all hope to be leaders of impact, people who are habitually growing and but also taking care of ourselves? But any final wisdom of advice in anything you want to talk about? Anything?
Yeah, it's a great great question. And time flies when you're having fun. I heard one leader say it this way. If your presence doesn't make an impact, your absence won't make a difference. And so when you're with people and you're engaging with them, you're learning with them, supporting them, working with whatever it is, you want to be fully present and fully bought in to what you're doing in that time, in that space, in that place, because it does show when you're not. Last thing I'd say too is just, be yourself. I'll say this around, again, cultivating relationships and how critical they are. I know you asked me about a success story earlier, and I neglected to share one. Just trying to stay within the time you have allotted. But one I'd offer up is my time way back. I think I was a sophomore or a junior in college. Secured an internship through a relationship that my brother Mitchell Leach II happened to connect me to. Never forget it. But it was a 4-week internship with the Chicago Bears. And I was just, again, had my staff intern T-shirt on and doing a good job, working hard. But throughout those 4 weeks, I was trying to just sit down with and meet with as many people as I possibly could. I get to the end of this 4-week internship, and not one person had been able to sit down with me. But I was still able to eat in the same cafeteria as the players And as the coaches and the full-time staff, and they take care of these, as you know, multi-million-dollar athletes very well. There's a lobster station, a stir-fry station, a pasta station. I'm just losing my mind as a young kid from the south side of Chicago in this place. And so the last day of this internship, I stuffed myself and finished eating this ridiculous amount of food. And I say, you know what, God, this internship was worth it. No one sat down with me, but it's okay. I'll be all right. I'm walking out of the cafeteria now, and in comes one of the many people I had asked to sit down with me so that I could learn from them, who was full time with the Bears at the time. And so he walks in, he sees me leave, and he said, well, I'm free now. You want to have dinner with me now? He has no idea I just crushed a lot of food. But I said, yeah, absolutely. I grabbed another tray, sat down, got some salad this time instead of the heavy stuff. And we just had a conversation. And after that exchange contact, I stayed in touch with this gentleman for 5 years. How are you? Happy birthday. Congrats on the win. I'm going to grad school here. Here's a good book. Let me mail it to you. It'll be a good read. I think it'll contribute to your leadership style. All of the stuff to cultivate that relationship. Little did I know in that 5-year span, that person who I didn't work with, didn't support in any way, shape, or form, became very close with the head coach at the time. And so that was the same guy who told the head coach 5 years later that he should consider me becoming the team's assistant to the head coach when I was looking for a new role, and coming out of grad school. And so again, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You can get as many folks to tweak your resume as possible, but it really comes down to how you engage with people. Humility, curiosity, and consistency really makes the difference. And the last thing I'll offer up, because some of you are going to go on to be phenomenal leaders in your own right in different industries, you don't have to know or have all of the answers. Be yourself, because most people would rather work with a person who is always real than one who's always right. And I heard that from a tremendous leader, Craig Rochelle, and it has stuck with me to this day. And I just wanted to offer that up to you. You don't have to have all the answers. Be yourself. You'll figure it out over time.
Well, listen, you all know I promised greatness, and Mike just hit it out the park like I knew you would. So, Mike, thank you so much for taking time out of your really busy schedule to bless us with your wisdom, with your insight. And we couldn't ask for a better way to end this 2023 Internship and Grad Success Summit than you. So, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was fun. Best of luck to each and every one of you. Grateful for the time. We'll be in touch, Mitchell.
All right, now, y'all take care, maximize this wisdom, and keep us posted on your success. Take care.